Hello and welcome to another Lawn Fawn video. Today we are introducing the brand new set Fairy Friends and its coordinating dies. I am so in love with this set, so let's go ahead and stamp it out. Here you'll see we have the first fairy who's facing to the left, and then we have a fairy that's facing to the right, and of course a standing fairy too. We have this cute little house. I just love those flower petals up top. And then all of these other flowers to help set the scene for the fairies. And I think this daisy slash sunflower might be my favorite. Then we have these really awesome vines and tendrils, and I love to stamp them in different shades of green to create a cool background. We've got little steps for the house and fun accessories like a lantern, a mushroom, a little flower and solid flower, and of course a magic wand. We also have these great little stars that I love creating backgrounds with. There's a single star too, so you can stamp that star all around and just create something really cool. And then we have the sentiments, thank you very much, and have a magical day. And of course we have an exclamation point to add to the end of that. So now I'm going to go ahead and color these fairies in with some Copic markers, and this is my absolute favorite way to color their wings. I lay down the BG11 in the inside corners, leaving the outside edges white, and then I take the BG70 over the BG11 into the white part of the wing, and it gives it this beautiful airy look. So I'm going to lay down that BG11 and now BG70 over it into the white. It's just so pretty. Next, I'm going to start coloring in the rest of the fairies, and I love to color these fairies like different people that I know in my life. It's so much fun to play around with hair color and skin color. I just have such a blast with it. So I'm going to go ahead and start coloring these fairies like different people that I know, and I'm going to have a lot of fun coloring in their dresses too. And so I'm doing some nice, simple, easy shading. And next I'm going to work on the middle fairy's hair. Now I wanted to give her some kind of cool black to gray hair. So I'm playing around with these blacks and grays, and I'm adding in my darkest color there, blending it out with my medium, and then into my light. And now I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see that a little bit better, and I'm just blending those colors a little more. Now I like to add some shade under the fairy's hair, their little bangs, and on the edges, inside edges of the legs and feet. And it kind of gives them a little dynamic look to their faces. And now I'm going to go ahead and color in her dress. Now I had trouble, I really didn't feel like there was enough shade, so I added that third color in just to get a little bit more of a cool shaded look on her dress. And then now I'm going to move on to the last fairy, doing the same thing, adding the dark and then blending out with the light. And just adding shading in different parts of the hair and just playing around with it. It's fun to play around with hair colors. I never really colored too much hair in before until these fairies. And now I'm repeating similar thing with her skin and with her dress, adding shading under the chin and under the arm. And then now giving them some rosy cheeks because I think that is just so cute on these little fairies. Now I'm going to start coloring all the fun accessories for these fairies, and I just love this little flower petal house. What's great about this is you can color in any color to match your project, because you can make the petals blue or green or yellow or whatever you like. I thought I'd play around with these colors because they're some of my favorites. I just think they're so pretty. And so I'm just adding shading underneath the petal there and then blending it out to light. And now I'm going to color the base of the house yellow, and you can see there where I'm adding the darkest parts and then blending them out now with the light. Then I'm going to add a little bit more darkness underneath those petals, under the window and around the door, just to make those parts of the house pop. Now I'm going to color a little bit of the little stem here, and use some BG70 and BG10 on the window to give it a nice little glow. And then I wanted to give it a pink door, but just a little bit different than the petals, so I brought in that RV to give me that color. Now I'm going to go ahead and color all of these stems of the flowers in a similar way here with YG17 and YG25. And you'll see where I'm adding the darkness there and then blending out with the light. I like to lay down the light color first because it gives me some wetness to the paper and makes it easier to blend the dark and light together. Now I'm going to color the flowers purple so that it matches one of the fairies' dresses. So I'm blending those out, and you'll see I had some trouble blending, so I'm touching the light marker to the dark marker to help me blend those two colors together, and you can see how much prettier it looks now. Next, I'm moving on to my favorite flower, and I'm going to color it like a sunflower since they're my favorite flowers. They're just so happy. So I'm going to blend these colors out, and these colors are similar to one of the fairies' dresses too, so it's going to kind of tie everything in this scene that I'm creating. And now I can color the top part of the flower and this fun, beautiful little rose. I thought some nice kind of corally colors would look really pretty. And now I'll color the lantern, and I'm ready to go and start die cutting all of these fun images. So here are the coordinating dies, and you can bend them apart at the tabs, just like that, or you can use your wire snips to cut those tabs, and that's a great way to get a nice little clean cut there. And then you're going to take the die, and I like to use some Post-it note tape to hold it in place. I'm going to line it up with the outside edge of my stamped image and use that Post-it note tape, hold them all in place, and run them through my die cut machine and get perfectly cut out cute little images every time. And this is my favorite part now. It's the reveal. I love popping the little stamps out of the die cuts. It's just so cute to see them perfectly cut like that. So here you can see the great 3 little fairies, their house with the steps, and all of these fun flowers and vines that you can use to create the scenes for these fairies. I love hanging the lantern off the vine. I think that's so cute and a great way to decorate the house area. And then the fairy can also hold the lantern too. I also love having the fairy hold the magic wand, of course. And then those little flowers there that you can stamp around the vines actually make an adorable little flower crown. So you can see it's cute on the vine, but now I'm going to add it to the top of the fairy's head, and it looks like she's created herself a little flower crown. So I think it's just absolutely adorable. Now it's time to start creating my card. So I'm using the largest of the small stitched rectangles, and I'm die cutting both some peacock cardstock, some light green cardstock, and some noble fir cardstock. Now I'm going to be using the stitched hillside borders to create some hills from this nice noble fir cardstock. And so you'll see now I've got a stitched hill, and then I'm going to cut some out from this light green cardstock too, both from the bottom and the top. That way I can use the whole thing. And now I'm using that dark green one as a guide to know where to place my hill. And the reason I die cut it first with the rectangle is so that there's going to be stitching all the way around, both on the hill and on the sides and the bottom. So now I'm going to layer all of these hills together to start creating my scene on my card. I'm going to be using an anti-static tool here because I'm going to white heat emboss. And I'm going to stamp on that front noble fir cardstock hill with the thank you very much sentiment. So I'm just going to pick that up with my Misty tool, ink it up with some Versamark ink, which is super sticky ink, stamp it down, and now I can dip it into my white heat embossing powder. I'll knock off any of the excess and heat it up with my heat gun. And I just love that bright, shiny white. It's so pretty. Next, I'm going to take some mermaid cardstock and put it on a card base and then line that peacock stitch rectangle piece right on top. And now I can start layering these hills. So this first hill, I'm just going to use some tape runner on, and then I'm going to go crazy with the foam adhesive here and get some nice dimension with all of these hills. And then this is my sentiment panel hill that I'm going to layer right on top. Now I'm going in fast motion here to show you how I was playing around with everything to see how this layout was going to work. And once I decided that I really liked it, I started adding either foam dots or tape runner to all of the different pieces on the card. On some of the pieces, I even added double foam squares just to give them more dimension so this card really looked like it had all these pieces popping in and out and the fairies were flying in from far away. Adding my magic wand, and then I'm going to take some clear Wink of Stella and add it to the fairies' wings, and they just look so pretty with that beautiful sparkle on them. So here's a quick look at that gorgeous sparkle on those cards. Now I started looking at the card and there were things that I didn't like the placement of very much. So when I put all these pieces down, I didn't push them down all the way so that I could move things around. And once I finally 100% decided, I pushed them down really well and my card was all done. And I just love this cute fairy scene. Shari from our design team made the most amazing shaker card that I just had to make one of my own. So right now, thank you so much to Shari for letting me use her design that we're going to make a fun shaker card. So I'm coloring in the fairies' wings just like before and coloring in their hair with different colors but in the same way, adding the shading to the top and the outside edges of the bun and shading underneath their bangs. And now I can go ahead and color in these cute dresses and die cut them out and have some great fairies ready to put on a card. Here I have some perfectly plaid paper, both the Kristen and Nancy papers. I'm going to use the largest of the large stitch rectangle dies to cut out some of this Kristen paper. Now I'm going to use the second largest of the large stitch rectangle to cut a white base and the second largest of the large stitched frames to cut the Nancy frame, and you'll see here that now I've got a cute little scene ready to be decorated. So next I'm going to color some cardstock with some freshly cut grass ink. I'm using a foam ink blending tool, and I'm just going to pick up some of that ink off the ink pad and add it to my cardstock by swirling off of the paper onto the paper. So here you'll see it in fast motion. I'm just bringing all of that green on. I'm trying to kind of coordinate with that Kristen paper, so that's why I chose the freshly cut grass ink. I thought it was a nice match to the green in that paper. Now I'm going to use that same rectangle that I used to cut the pattern paper to cut this green cardstock that I made. And here I have the flower border die and the stitched hillside border die. So I'm going to cut the stitched hillside border die out of that rectangle, and you'll see now it's got the stitching detail all the way around. And then I'm going to cut the flower border in the same curve pattern as that stitched hillside. And as you'll see, that's going to line up perfectly behind this hill. Now I want to color the flowers in, so I'm going to create some more custom colored cardstock. I'm going to use some Wild Rose ink, and once again start off of the paper and move onto it with the foam ink blending tool. And I think this is just so much fun for creating your own custom colored cardstock. Why not, right? So I'm going to die cut that with that same flower border die, and now I'm cleaning off my work area with my stamp chamois, and I'm going to add some sunflower ink to cardstock in the same way, and layer carrot on top to create a color in between sunflower and carrot, and die cut that with my flower border die too. Now it's time to assemble this cute little flower border. So I'm adding some dot runner there to that piece so that I can layer my original stitched hillside on top. And now I'm going to cut all of the pink and orangey yellow flowers off of the flower border base. And then I'm going to cut the stems off of those so that I can layer them on top. Now the flower border looks cute just in green, but I thought it would look even cuter having colored flower tops, so that's why I went to all this trouble. Plus I really love using my foam ink blending tool. And so now you can see how cute those colored flowers look. Now on that panel that I cut just a while back, I want to stamp my sentiment, which is "Have a Magical Day," and I'm using some new Merman ink for that. It's a gorgeous turquoise ink. And then I'm going to stamp some of those cute little star shapes with some sunflower ink just to decorate that back panel. And now I'm adding just a few more little extra ones with the single star just to decorate it all. And now we're going to make the shaker mechanism. So I have cut a piece of fun foam, and I'm using some Stick It adhesive. It's a thin adhesive which has backing on the back and the front. We're going to peel off one side of the backing and lay it on top of that foam to create a sticker on one side of the foam. And then we're going to repeat it on the other side. So I've laid that Stick It on both sides, and now I essentially have a foam sticker. So I'm going to take that same rectangle frame die that we used earlier and cut out this foam. And you'll see that I'm left with a foam frame ready to help me make my shaker. So now I have my decorated base all ready to go, and I can add this fun foam frame to it. So I'm going to take that frame and adhere it on. Excuse my head, but you really need to get on top of that to really line it up. And then I'm going to use my anti-static tool to remove any extra stickiness that might be on the inside of that frame so that my sequins don't stick to the frame. And then I'm going to add some cute sequins and some fun glitter just to fill this whole thing up. Now I can peel off the other side of that foam sticker that we created. And now I can lay my acetate window, which was cut with the same size rectangle as the base white piece, right on top of that foam sticker. Now to decorate this great little shaker, we're going to use that foam frame that we cut from the Nancy Perfectly Plaid paper earlier, add some adhesive to it, and line that up right on top. Excuse my head again, these are very hard to line up. And now you can see this awesome shaker that we formed. So I'm taking that piece that I die cut at the beginning and adding it to a card base, and then adhering that shaker piece with some tape runner to that card base too. Now it's time to work on the flower border piece, and I actually used 3 layers of foam on it so that it would line up with that shaker piece, because the foam in that shaker piece is pretty thick. And once I've got that lined up there, I can add it to the base of my card, and you can see how cool this shaker is looking already. Now with some tape runner, I can add my cute little fairies to it. And that's it. Now this shaker has been made and it's so adorable and I just love it. It just makes me so happy. I can't wait to send this card to somebody. Hope it just makes their day. And here is a look at both cards. I love that you can make fun, complicated scenes or cool shakers or so many other things with this set. So this is Fairy Friends. I just love this stamp set and its coordinating dies. It is one of my all-time favorites. I love that you can make cool shakers with it or create really awesome scenes, and I cannot wait to see what you guys do with these fairies because I know it is going to be absolutely awesome. So thank you guys so much for watching and have an amazing and magical day. Bye!